to our Letter to the Future presentation. My name's Lee Jowett and I am the Sustainable Schools Coordinator here at Leicester City Council. And I'm really pleased to be able to this afternoon present for you our Roots and Shoots competition Letter to the Future winners. So this is a competition that we launched before summer, and it's been really exciting to find some of the entries. I was part of the judging panel, and really great to be able to sort of announce our winners today. We've got a couple of people who are going to be on the call today who are have been involved as being judges, and I'll pass over to Holly, if that's okay, first of all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lee. Yeah, my name's Holly. I'm a graduate project officer at Leicester City Council, working alongside Lee in the environmental education team for about 6 months now. If you wouldn't mind switching it over, Lee. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the theme that we picked for the Letter to the Future competition. And that's a question that you probably know quite well by now, to be honest, which is, what will the environment look like in 2050? And we picked this question because it really allowed for the people that entered to use their imagination. We allowed entrants to write to any adult that they wanted to, which might have made you think about who's most important in your life to sort of give a message to, or who has the power to change the future. We definitely had some very creative choices. We had family members to MPs, our Prime Minister, and I think we even had Tom Jones. And I really love to see that variety in the letters. We also left the content of the letters quite open as well, with the ability to write about the good and the bad aspects of the future in 2050. So you might have considered, will we all be living underground because the surface has constant natural disasters going on, and there's no species left on Earth, maybe? Or maybe if we implemented all the changes that we needed, life would basically carry on mostly as normal, but maybe with some added solar panel hoverboards or flying electric cars, those sort of exciting things. And the fact of the matter is that everybody should be asking themselves this question, because even though there is hope for the future, we all need to think about how we can act right now in order to make it happen. And that's sort of the true spirit of the Roots and Shoots programme. So I'm going to hand over to Tara Golsham right now from the Jane Goodall Institute to talk a little bit more about that.
Brilliant, thank you, Holly. Over to you, Tara.
Thank you very much, Holly and Lee. It's great to be part of this exciting event today. So yeah, I was just going to give you a little background about Roots and Shoots. It's quite interesting because Dr. Jane Goodall obviously is one of the world's most famous scientists now, and ethologists. And one of the questions she gets asked the most when she's traveling around the world is, what do you want your legacy to be? And she always says that she wants her legacy to be the Roots and Shoots programme. And we began many, many years ago, back in 1991, where there were a group of 12 students, probably similar to the ages that you are now, the young students who entered this competition, and they were sitting on Jane's veranda in Tanzania. And they were talking about all the problems they were facing in their local communities. You know, there were some problems with stray animals that they wanted to help. There were problems with water and irrigation. There were a few problems with the local neighbours, and people that were poorer didn't have enough money to buy clothes. And Jane, being Jane, said to them, don't come and complain about all this to me. Why don't you go out there, roll your sleeves up and start doing something about it? And that was literally how Roots and Shoots was born. And it's very much a programme of action. I mean, we live in a world where people are constantly talking and discussing, and we know this at very high levels in government, and I won't mention too many names, but yes, people talk a lot and act very little. And this is why we love the Roots and Shoots programme, because it's all about action. And the other thing that Jane often talks about is the hope. In fact, her new book is just coming out this month, and it's all about hope. It's already on the booksellers' best-selling top 20 list, and I recommend you get a copy and read it, because it's literally about why we have hope for the future and why Jane has hope for the future. But her biggest reason for hope is actually the Roots and Shoots members. So when people say to you, what's your biggest reason for hope? She believes that the hope is in the next generation and in the stewards of the planet, and you are those stewards. And me, having looked and had the privilege of looking at some of the entries that have come in and the letters and where you see those problems arising, gives me hope for the future too. So it's been an absolute privilege to have judged this competition, and a big thank you to Lee and Holly as well for putting so much hard work into this programme for us over in Leicester too, because obviously we sit on this organisation, but it's the people that we work with that deliver on all the hard work. So a big thank you to Lee and Holly. And now I'll be very happy to introduce the winners of this competition.
Yeah.
So the winners are, this is where we have the drum roll. Harveen from Lower Key Stage 2, Abbey Mead Primary. Karina from Upper Key Stage 2, Woodstock Primary Academy. Scarlett from Upper Key Stage 2, St Joseph's Catholic Voluntary Academy. Hitisha from Upper Key Stage 2, St Joseph's Catholic Voluntary Academy. Stuti from Key Stage 3, Rushie Mead Academy.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Tara. I have to say, having been involved with the judging, we kind of had, I think, about over 70 entries for the competition, and it was absolutely so difficult to pick the overall winners. There's some really interesting, very different to each other as well. I kind of echo what Tara was saying, that very different entries, but some really, really interesting ones. So first of all, congratulations. What we are going to do is make sure that each person that's been named today will be receiving a book, which has got a theme that Dr. Jane has written herself. Additionally, each school will be receiving a book for their own school library. So for Key Stage 2 is Me, Jane, and for Key Stage 3 is In the Shadow of Man. And then we do have one last overall winning prize. And I'm just going to stop sharing and reshare for a second just to make sure we get the audio on this one, because I think this is a really special prize that we're going to share with you in a second. So just bear with me while I reshare this one. Excellent. Just checking everyone can see the screen again. Yeah, perfect. All right. So we've got a little video clip that we're just going to finish off with before we do some final thank yous. And hopefully people can recognise, just while this is loading, who this wonderful lady is on screen. I'll just wait for this to load and then I will press play. And perhaps Holly, maybe just give me a thumbs up just to make sure the audio is working when it comes through.
Hello, this is Jane Goodall, and I want to congratulate Karina at the Woodstock Primary School, who's the overall winner of the Letter to the Future competition, which has been delivered by Leicester City Council. The judges loved the confidence in your messages. You made some very good points about the way we live today and how we have to change this in the future, how we all need to move to a plant-based diet and eat less meat, and how we should make the effort to grow more plants and trees, because doing this would help to capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and so slow down the devastating effects of climate change. These calls for action fit in very well with the spirit of the Great Big Green Week. After all, you're right. If we don't change our behavior, then who knows what the world will look like in 2050. I absolutely share your belief that we can still do something about the issues facing our environment and that there is hope if we act now. We know what we should do to make this a better world, but do we have the strength of mind to take those actions? If we don't, the world will be a very sad place in 2050. We need to get together and take action now. This is an important underlying message in the Roots and Shoots program. So thank you, Karina, for sharing your letter with us. And thank you to all the other entrants to the competition for sharing your letters. The judges hope you enjoyed writing them as much as they enjoyed reading them. Thank you.
I think, I don't know about anyone else, but I just think so special, that video from Dr. Jane congratulating Karina on overall winning our competition. So those books will be in the post very soon. They're in our office at the moment and we'll be sending them this week. A very big thank you really to everyone that entered, first of all, into the competition. Like I say, we had over 70 entries. Particularly would like to thank Holly and Tara, who were part of our judging panel. And particularly would like to thank Jasmina, who also works at Roots and Shoots, who's been ultra organised as always, helping us with all the different bits behind the scenes. So congratulations, everyone. I think I'll leave the last words with Tara, if that's okay, I think from Roots and Shoots.
Yes, I was just going to say how much I love doing this part of my job, because again, it does give me a lot of hope when I see what young people are creating. And honestly, the thought that went into this competition and the practical elements that the students came up with, I thought were really good. You know, that it wasn't overcomplicated. And it's interesting because one of the famous sayings for Jane is that every one of us can make a difference every day, but we've got to start with something simple and something small that's achievable. I think when we talk about the big issues like climate change, and they're big, you know, you need a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of people and a lot of governments on board. But if we can make those small changes every day, which was actually recommended in a lot of people that vote in for this competition, that is where we begin to make change. So every little thing makes a difference every day. So I will leave it on that note.
Thank you very much, Tara. We will make sure we put this up on our YouTube channel. So if you do want to watch this back at school, it'll be available up on YouTube shortly, probably tomorrow afternoon. And thank you very much, everyone.